All right, welcome to our Unreal Engine workshop. It's winter 2026 here at Georgian, and I'm Tom. That's me. You just heard from Wallace about Unreal and about game engines. So I've been programming for a lot of years, and I've, about 15 years ago, I switched careers into teaching, which is interesting. I'm a gamer, just like Wallace is. My background is in Dungeons and Dragons, actually. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for near on 40 years. I'm an old guy, right? So, I also do Warhammer 40K modeling and all that kind of stuff. And lately, of course, I've been into Souls games, Dark Souls, and Elden Ring, a bunch of other stuff. I'm also currently producing a game, Bloodstar Plasmagoria, with a small team. And that's where I am. Love Unreal Engine, and we'll talk about why in a bit. Here's what we're going to do today. So we're about 9:30. So the first part, until about lunchtime, we're going to talk about the editor. I'm going to, because of different levels of experience with what we're doing, we're going to assume that no one knows anything. Okay, I have to do that. I know there's some people that know a lot of stuff, but please bear with me for those people who do know stuff, but I want to make sure that everyone has the same experience. I might be able to fill in some gaps for some of you as well, even if you know some stuff. So, just have patience as we go forward. Ask a lot of questions. This is for you, right? So even though I have an agenda, if you want to push me in a direction, and if you want to try something, you want to experiment, we have some time. Normally what I do is I teach in 3-hour kind of blocks, right? We have a lot of time today, more than 3 hours. So I think we have time to, kind of check some stuff out. And if you make mistakes, it's okay. I have Wallace, who's going to help us out. So if there's something that I'm asking you to do and you don't know how to do it, just ask and we'll get it done. We can slow things down. I can stop, like I said. So again, it's not like we're on a high-speed train where we have to have everything done by a certain time. So this is kind of our high-level agenda. I want to kind of talk about the editor at the beginning. We'll talk about building a simple level, how to do that. We'll start from scratch with nothing, and then we'll add some things slowly, so you get to understanding how to do that. And then we'll do an intro to blueprints, which is visual scripting, and I'll talk about why that's good. We'll have lunch. Again, it could be the whole hour. It could be, if we want to take less time, it's up to you. If you need a little bit more time, that's fine too. And then we'll get back into Unreal Engine. We'll do some. We'll talk about the character template overview. We'll talk about what that is, that it comes with, and we'll do some input and interaction. And then, if we have time, we'll do a simple gameplay system, which is going to be something that we're going to work with, where it's more complex interactions. I'm going to ask a lot of questions throughout the time, and I'm going to assume, like I said, you don't know anything about programming, but we'll talk about some programming concepts. At the end, we'll do a bit of a wrap-up and Q&A, and then Wallace can jump in again and kind of help me out with anything. I want to see if there's any way you can integrate some of the stuff I show you today in your classroom, because I think that's part of what we want to do, but also if it's just for interest for you, for any kind of projects you want to put together, that's fine too. And like I said, I'm recording on YouTube, so it'll be available just after this workshop, several videos, and it should be pretty good quality. Thing about me is I've recorded thousands of videos, so if you look me up, I am on social media. So I'm a different animal than Wallace a little bit, but I'm mostly on LinkedIn, but I've been recording thousands of videos since I started, and I'm not joking, there are thousands, because I record all my classes. I find that some students learn differently. Right, so they like to watch videos. I mean, especially our young people, they don't like to watch PowerPoints. They don't like that. They feel bored, and they get a lot out of watching videos, especially if I go too fast. It's a technical course, and sometimes I'm talking and I'm doing, and then they have to look up and they have to do one of these. And when they look up again, I moved on. Right, so then I can't slow down because I have a 3-hour limit. I have to get my stuff out. So recording helps. It also cuts down on a lot of questions I might get, through office hours and that kind of stuff. So it's a good thing. On the downside, it's a bad thing because some people decide because you're in college, you don't have to come to class, right? So, they're like, hey, Tom's going to record anyway. Why do I need to come to class? It's a snowy day. It's ugly outside. I'm going to stay home. And so they do that kind of stuff. So that's how I operate. So I've been doing this for a while. So the video should be okay. You should be able to watch it, and you can zoom through on the sections that we talk about, and then go to the things that you need to see. So I want to start talking about Unreal Engine fundamentals first. And Wallace talked about Unreal Engine, what is it? But really, this is a course for you as educators. So what I want to do is kind of look at the Unreal Editor. We want to build a simple environment. That's what we want to do. Talk about visual scripting. So for those people who don't know what visual scripting is, I guess a bit of a buzzword, but think about programming and code, right? Instead of programming lines of code, this is something where you have these blocks, programming blocks, kind of like, I guess, Scratch, for those people who've done that. And you put the blocks together, and what we do is we have these execution pins we connect, and then once the execution pins connect, we have behavior. And that's what we want to do. We want to have not just visuals with modeling and everything else we bring into Unreal Engine, but actually get some interaction out of it. And visual scripting allows us to do that. Why is it there? Why did Unreal Epic build visual scripting? Because they want to have artists and programmers work together. See, with only code, it doesn't speak to artists. Like, artists look at it and go like, I don't get it. It's too mathy for me. It's too this for me, or whatever. But with visual scripting, it's like, okay, I want to put these logical blocks together. Oh, I get it. It's visual. And a lot of us are visual learners, right? So if you believe in that, there's a lot of things around that. But, they're visual people. They like to put things together and draw things, and it speaks to them. So just like Wallace said, a lot of my second-year students are like, I wish I had Unreal Engine right from the beginning, because Unity with C# is quite hard, because I'm not really a programmer. I'm more of an artist. I want to be a designer, and that kind of thing. So I think it allows us to work together, and that's why visual scripting is great. Visual scripting is also low code. So this whole low code, no code revolution is upon us. I mean, with AI. Right now, Unreal Engine doesn't have any AI integrated in it by default. I believe that it will be integrated in the future, and I think you'll be able to do something like, I want to do this, and then it'll just spit out the nodes. I don't think we're that far off from that, okay? Positive and negative thoughts for me about AI. On the positive side, I can debug something very quickly. If I have a problem, I can, there it is, especially when it's a very complex error code that I'm getting back from the system, platform, whatever that I'm working on, okay? Also really great for AI is concepting. I think it's great if you can kind of brainstorm with AI. What's not great with AI is iteration. Oh, I want you to do this. I want to make a logo. Okay, no, I don't like that. Change this logo from this to this. It's going to mess up right now. Okay, it can't layer things together, as easily. It won't be able to step through as normally. It doesn't matter which platform you use, ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. It doesn't matter, right? For now. I think eventually, though, it will be able to do these things for us, what can be scary for people. Should we allow it? This whole ethical use of AI thing that's coming out, and especially with artists. Artists hate AI. I talked to a lot of artists, and they're like, the AI is taking our jobs. But so too, it was the same, kind of words we heard many years ago with Photoshop. Oh, Photoshop is going to kill the photographers. No one's going to need a photographer if they just have Photoshop. Oh, Google. Oh, that's it. Libraries are going to close. That's it. If you can go to Google. So I'm more of an AI optimist. I think there are good things we can get from AI. I just think we need to use the tool, which is what it is for now, in the right way. So so let's talk about what actually is Unreal. Unreal really is a 3D simulation environment. We build interactive worlds with it. That's what we do. It's not just a game engine. That's the most important part. And what we want to do is, this is why it's important for you, we want to shift from this idea of student engagement to instructional design, where we can build worlds or experiences, more of an experiential learning thing for Unreal, with Unreal, and other modeling systems like Blender. I highly recommend, if you haven't done any Blender work, I think it really works well. I think it really binds together nicely. I wish we had more time. If there was another workshop, and I guess Jenny's here too, right? So if we ever do a workshop again, what I would love to do is this. I would love to do a Blender workshop day 1 and Unreal workshop day 2. This will be nicely work nicely for you as opposed to Photoshop, right? I don't know if you guys were involved in Photoshop. Photoshop is nice. It's great for texturing and stuff like that, but I think Blender and Unreal really work nicely together. And they're all tools you can get for free, and you can show your students, right? I've done Blender tutorials for students in grade 4. You know, it's really quite simple, and it gets their mind working in a way where they want to solve problems in a 3D space, and they're more into 3D spaces than we are, right? They're already doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sorry, what do you say, Blender and?
And Unreal, Blender and Unreal. So it's like I would say Blender day 1, Unreal day 2. All right, kind of thing. I think that's the better way to go if it was me. Okay. So this way you get a sense of 3D space. Some of us don't have that great sense. You haven't worked in 3D before, and so it takes a bit of a mind bend to get there. And we want to be able to understand how to maneuver things in 3D, manipulate things in 3D, and then it becomes easier to work with Unreal Engine. Unity's not a bad workshop either, I have to be honest. If you're more of a programmer type, and if you want to do 2D work, or if you want to build something for mobile, Unity is the way to go, right? I still think Unity is better for mobile than Unreal Engine because of its simplicity. So again, like Wallace said earlier with the engineering stuff, it's really the same thing. We create, modify an environment, we add assets, we implement some logic with blueprints, visual scripting. We could also do C++ if we wanted to. We test it, and then we iterate back to step 1, and we keep doing that over and over again. And that's kind of the engineering loop. So when we install, the Unreal Engine, we want to go do it through the Epic Launcher. I put these slides in there, and again, I'll share the slide deck with you later on, only if you want to do the installation at home, if you're someone who wants to do that, if you have to have a system. I have to talk about this, though. System requirements for Unreal are much higher than Unity, right? So you're going to need a pretty robust system. And for those people who know, I'm just going to say it, it's probably an NVIDIA now 5070 Ti, with at least 32 gigs of RAM and 2 terabyte hard drive, right? That's what you need. So you probably need at least an i7, or higher system. So we're talking about $3,000 to $5,000, right? That's what we're talking about. If you don't have that system, then you're going to lag, and it's going to really frustrate the crap out of you, right? There's no other way to say that, right? So I recommend a pretty good system. Even if you buy something like out of the box, like Alienware, it's okay. It's just that it's just the paying for the name, right? It's a beautiful system too. So you need a system like that. But then when you download it, I've got the slides in here. You can go to the Unreal Engine kind of site. This is where you get it. You get Unreal Engine, and from there you download the launcher. You need to have an Epic account. Again, some of you I think have it through the school board. I'm not sure if that's true. Sorry? If you don't, it's okay. If it works for you, that's great. If you don't have one, you should get one, an Epic account, because the beautiful thing about this is it'll allow you to use Fab, which is our marketplace, and then anything that you do, when you kind of install it at home or anywhere else, it'll remember, and it'll have all your projects there as well. Yeah.
So the only way we use right now on the board is the offline version. They're not allowed to use the online version because it goes to Epic.
Okay.
That's just to give you.
So then you won't have access to Fab, probably.
Is there any way to get around me?
It's kind of limited.
This is like the Unity thing.
It's not an approval
Okay.
because of the security.
Well, you could. Here's a way around it that I do. I'm not sure if you guys. I don't know if you have access to remote desktop from work to home.
No.
You've tried it with Google Remote Desktop. Google Remote Desktop, my friends. It'll bypass almost every firewall. I just did it earlier, right? Yes.
I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, and the great thing about that is you can, if you have a really great system at home and you want to kind of teleport into it from work, I do it all the time. I have that robust system that I talked about earlier. So I just kind of, sometimes I need to get it going, so I kind of remote into it, do my thing. But you can also get assets from Fab, and I'll talk about how to get that, download them, and after you download those assets, then you can put them up on OneDrive or someplace else.
How do you share them though? I ran into trouble with that because I have a computer that's not on the board.
Yeah.
My personal.
Yeah.
And we get the assets.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing them with the students. I found a lot of them didn't want to work once I tried to pull them over to the other computers.
Did you? Well, okay. So I'll talk about where you have to put them. There's a specific spot you have to put those assets in Unreal Engine. Otherwise, it won't work, right? So But the way to do this would be using OneDrive if you have access to that, or Google Drive, putting it up there and then downloading it. Once you've downloaded it, unzip it properly and put it into the content folder, which is what we're going to show you. Okay? So we'll do that a little bit today. Since you're asking, we'll do it. So you download Unreal Engine, install it. Now, the Unreal Engine installation is big. It's really big, all right? It's at least 30 gigabytes in terms of space, so it does take a lot of space to put together. And you want to have multiple versions of Unreal Engine installed. And I'm just going to teleport, just because I'm talking about it, let's teleport into my system at home. I know. I also have a Mac, so I'm kind of fluent in both. I've done app development on both sides, Mac, Windows, all that stuff. So let's get into this. So if I open up my games launcher, this is at home now, right? And you can see how seamless this is. Like, I got good performance now. I have good upload speeds at home. I have symmetrical 3 gigabits up and down. It allows me to do this, so you need to have that too. And your home computer has to be on all the time, right? So it's positives and negatives, right? But if I looked at Unreal Engine, and if I looked at my library, then you can see that I have several versions of Unreal Engine installed. And I need to do this for a couple reasons. One, some assets that you get through the marketplace, as an example, are only available for previous versions of Unreal Engine. And so what we need to do is migrate them, and we migrate them through opening up a previous version of Unreal Engine, creating a project. I usually call it like an asset project, just for migration purposes. Dump the stuff in there, then migrate it to the latest version, and you're good to go. So you need a couple versions. As you can see, we're working with 5.54. Yeah, no problem. I'll get to it.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Yeah.
the new versions, do you find that there's a different features? And
Yes.
functions? Like, 'cause when I do my tutorials, like for Blender,
Yeah.
I screenshot everything.
Yeah.
That's what I found the best way. Then next year, they change a button or change a feature, so that screenshot's no longer good. Do you find that with Unreal?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to, every single time I do a course or whatever, I find myself prepping again. That's just the way it is. It's going to happen because the developers continue to improve things. You'll see as we talk about things. But yeah, you're right. It's going to happen. So here's an example of that. 5.54, we have certain templates we're going to look at today. 5.61, they had new templates. They also did the Witcher 4 demo at Unreal Fest last year. They talked about that with 5.61. And now they've released 5.7 and most likely 5.8 in the fall. So it's a pretty good velocity that they're moving in, and that means that for IT purposes, for us, we can't keep up with all the imaging that I have to do. So I always go with a stable version. So at the time, 5.54 was my stable version that I kind of asked IT to install. And now it's 5.61. Maybe by fall it'll be 5.7. I don't know, right?
Sorry, how large is the update?
Massive.
Okay.
Right, so as you can see, like my total installation side for all these engine versions is 321 gigabytes, right? Just engine, not including projects. Project sizes vary between 1 gigabyte and 10 gigabytes, as an example, maybe even larger if you want to really pile in assets, right? Because assets take up a lot of space. And so how do you share that stuff? Going back to what you're saying, you can't share it on GitHub, okay? It's impossible. GitHub has a limit to how big projects can be, so we need to use some other system to share things. OneDrive is okay, you could do it, but there's no version control. That means if I change from one thing to the other, I'm not sure if you guys know about version control. Yes? No? When we change stuff in programming, what we want to try and keep is all of our changes. Every single time we add a feature, fix a bug, or whatever, we use version control. And we use Git and GitHub, actually owned by Microsoft now. And that's okay for small projects, web projects, all that kind of stuff. But when we get into large projects with Unreal, we need to use something else. And so DevOps, Microsoft DevOps, is something we need to use now because it supports large files. Okay? But anyways, so I wanted to mention this. Just if you're going to install it at home, it's going to be large. Okay? You're going to have to install multiple versions. You're probably going to have, like me, many experiments that you're going to do, right? Which means each of these experiments takes up at least 1 to 2 gigabytes. You need some hard drive space. You need 4 terabytes probably on a hard drive or something like that. And then on top of that, you have a bunch of stuff that you're going to get from the marketplace. These are all marketplace assets, okay, over the years. And I keep scrolling, all right? So it's lots and lots of stuff. Why? because there's a lot of free assets, and there are free assets that are shared on Fab. If I was going to go to Fab right now, which used to be called the Unreal Marketplace, and notice that it says limited time free. What they do is they share free assets on Fab for you, and what you want to do is just grab these things, right? Even if you don't think you're ever going to use them, you never know, right? So you keep on grabbing. There's nothing to download on your system, but later on, if you need something like, I want to build a temple and these modular assets, I have it, right? And so what you do is over time you collect, kind of a set of assets that you can use. Because let's face it, building something from scratch takes a lot of time, right? So I mean, if we had a Blender session, then we could have done that, and then we could put it in. We don't have that time today.
It's not frowned upon. Would it be frowned upon, say, when you're making a massive game, to use something that was free at one point?
No, I think sometimes. I mean, so the answer is it really depends. If you're gonna make a AAA game, these are artists that use it, and you are paying for it. So it's not like you're stealing the assets or anything like that. You're paying someone who made them. So I think no, and they have specific rules. Every asset has, how much it's going to cost for if you're going to do it for personal use or if you're going to use it for a game, right? So you have that. But yeah, we don't want to make asset flip games. All right, we don't want to do that. That's really ugly. Eventually, you want to hire, real artists. I think even if you're using AI to create your stuff, this is again back to that ethical use of art and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really important that we support artists. So yes, I think it's okay in concept to make a game like early access. Here's what it looks like, and put things together because you have a concept, you have a prototype or whatever, a minimum viable product, and then when things are going, switch it out with real assets. I think is okay, and we can talk about that because really, when we do our level design and all that, we block out or we use gray boxing to kind of create our level the way it's going to look, and then we replace these dummy assets with real ones. So yeah, so lots of stuff there. So that's the Fab marketplace. It has a lot of connections, kind of with kind of like indie artists as well. So if I was going to search for something in the Fab marketplace, let's say I want like a temple, you can search for it as an example, and then you see some stuff that's more professional, but then you'll be able to also see things that are free. You can actually click on free. We'll try and use some of this today. And you can see some of these things as an example. This free art right here, right? It's hosted, someplace, and some artist, has done this thing. So these are all free. You can see that these are different than these. These are kind of more high detail, but there are quite a few free assets here that you can go through and try and download. Okay, so as an example, and that's where this is the power of Unreal. In fact, I would say, look, using Unity and Unreal for years as well. Unity has a great marketplace, but Unreal's marketplace is next level in terms of how much it has. It's been around for a while. It has a terrible amount of, a tremendous amount of assets out there that you could see. And so sometimes people say, like, I don't even need Blender. I don't need to model. I can just grab some assets, put it together, and make a little presentation, and then we're good to go. Like, it's a lot of stuff. Everything from special effects to programming examples to all kinds of stuff. Okay. So that is something that, that's why, again, it's good to have your own account. It's good to have access at home. It's good to have access to, to the stuff. And yes, you can still save it locally and download it and put it in the right spot inside of your assets in Unreal Engine. So let's go back to what we're doing here. So that is the engine. Again, what we want to do is we want to start with games. So let's do this together now. We're actually building something. So we're going to go into our engine. You should have it up by now. It should look like this. I want to click on games. You can see that there's a bunch of different options here. Games, films, architecture, and so on. We care about games. That's going to be the thing that we want to do. And we're going to build a few projects today. We're going to have one that we're just going to, kind of explore, and then we're going to build one that I'm going to share with you later on. For now, what I want you to do is I want to start with the third-person perspective project. You could put it somewhere where you can find it. I recommend putting it in your downloads folder. So navigate to your downloads folder, put it there, and let's just leave it at my project because we're going to kill this project and make a new one in the future. Just don't worry about the name for now, okay? One thing to note is I do want you to set up starter content. So please add starter content. Okay, a note about starter content. It's about 800 megabytes, right? So every time you click that button, it's another 800 megabytes you're adding in, you know, as an example. Once you've got this starter content checkbox checked, you've gone to games, you've picked third person, you've changed the location, and you can leave the name at my project or make it your own, and then click create. It will take some time for Unreal Engine to pull this up. So there's the time. I'll leave the slide up so you can see it, if in case you have, you know, I was too fast. Notice there's also some other options. One option is Blueprint over C++, right? So, so Blueprint, again, visual scripting, that starts you off with visual scripting assets, but if you ever wanted to add in C++ later, it's no problem, okay? It's also the other way around. You can't do C++ without blueprints. They kind of tie together, as you'll see. Going forward. You good?
Every time I get to launch, I get a little message that says,
Wallace, can I get you there? Does that make sense? So yeah, so there's lots of options, launch options. By the way, all these things that we saw here, they are templates. That's what they are. So they're starter templates. Notice that there's a blank starter template. We're going to get to that. I want to start with blank, nothing, and then we'll build everything from scratch from there, right? But first I want to start with this third person perspective, you know, kind of a template that starts off. Unreal Engine, when it first starts, you'll notice that there's 10,000 shaders that it's going through. So shaders are little pieces of code that basically define how the scene looks. More like, I think about a shader like a big mathematical calculation for lighting and for you know, different parts of the game. So in the beginning, when you first launch your editor, it will take time to go through all these shaders and all that kind of stuff. So it's just part of it. Once it does this for the first time, if you have a home system and you're not here at school with IT, you know, the way it is, it will cache everything, right? So that you won't see this again. You know, you have to pay for it once, you know, kind of thing. This long lag time that we're seeing right now. On that, this is a great place for us to wait and take a small break. So if you need to go to the washroom, all that stuff, it's a great place to do that. I'll stop recording now, and then when we come back, this thing will be launched. We don't have to wait for it and waste our time, and we can do continue from there. I'll stop recording.